Teamwork isn't just nice to have in business, it's the undisputed competitive advantage. When your team members work as a unified force, your whole operation benefits through higher productivity, thriving creativity, and unstoppable momentum. Welcome to the Impactful Teamwork Podcast, where we share with you strategies and tactics to help you develop game-changing teams so that you and your business can make a real difference in the world. So welcome everyone to this week's edition of Impactful Teamwork. My name's Julia Felton and I'm your host and guide for the next 20 minutes. And today I really wanted to share with you a very powerful experience that I had in the last week or so when I actually got to meet the incredible boxing legend that is Frank Bruno. He was a guest speaker at a mastermind that I am part of. So I was really excited to meet him, and meeting him actually reminded me a lot of my dad, because when I was a kid, my dad always used to impersonate Frank Bruno with that famous phrase that he always had, which is, "Know what I mean, Harry?" I cannot say it in the same way that my dad used to, but it always used to make me laugh as a kid. And so it was such a privilege to actually hear him and then meet this icon in person. And I think what was really interesting was listening to Frank's stories and reflecting on his journey. I realized that there were some really profound lessons in his resilience, discipline, and mental strength that really applies for us as leaders. So what I love about analogies like this is how you can take something in one area, in this case, the boxing ring, and apply it to other areas of life. Because concepts and qualities like resilience, discipline, and toughness aren't exclusive to the world of boxing. We see them mirrored in nature, where survival and success are governed by adaptability, persistence, and strength. And of course, in business. What I want to share with you today are 3 lessons I took away from my meeting with Frank Bruno, and share with you also some examples of how they appear in nature, and also some practical business models that you can apply, as well as some statistics about them. I hope you really find this interesting, because for me, it was just incredible to meet this icon that, as I said, reminded me so much of my childhood. I think one of the first lessons that I took away was that of resilience, bouncing back from setbacks. And I just want to signpost listeners to a podcast I did probably about 3 or 4 episodes ago with Russell Harvey, where he actually says it's not about bouncing back from setbacks, but it's almost like bouncing forward, which I really like his interpretation of resilience there. Resilience is so important in business because Frank Bruno's boxing career was filled with both triumphs and setbacks. And he fought some of the greatest heavyweights in his era, including people like Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. And despite crushing defeats, he never ever abandoned his dream of becoming a world champion. And in 1995, after multiple attempts, he finally won the WBC heavyweight title, proving that persistence and resilience really pay off. And I think we can probably all agree that in business and leadership, setbacks are inevitable. We've all been through them. I know I've been through them myself. And it's at that time when you almost want to throw in the towel. How we respond in that moment is what really sets our character alive and alight and different from everyone else. And many teams and leaders get discouraged when things don't go as planned. But resilience means learning from our failures, adapting strategies, and coming back stronger. And I remember when I was at Deloitte, we actually were trying to do a major piece of innovation in the hospitality sector. We were trying to create, back in early 2000s, some really innovative shared services for the hospitality industry, where they could bring all their accounting methodologies under one roof. And effectively, Deloitte would be the outsourced provider for everyone's back office in the hospitality industry. And it was really innovative. And we spent a lot of time and energy investing in that project. And we were pretty convinced it was going to run forward. We got really positive feedback from our clients. But at the end of the day, nobody was quite brave enough to pull the trigger and say yes. And I think we see this a lot in business, that we invest a lot of time and energy, we get a lot of positive feedback from clients, and then for whatever reason, somebody won't quite push it over the line. And when you've invested that much time and energy, that can be really demoralizing. But we realized we were onto a great thing, and we just picked ourselves up and came back with some different solutions. So resilience, so important. You know how I always love to reference nature. So what's an example from nature of resilience? It's the phoenix palm. It's one of nature's most remarkable examples of resilience. And this tree can endure extreme droughts, wildfires, and even being cut down to its core. Yet it regenerates and thrives once again. So just like Frank Bruno kept returning to the ring after each defeat and setback, the phoenix palm teaches us that challenges are temporary. With persistence, we can rebuild and emerge even stronger. And there is something called the resilience framework by Dr. Anne Maston. And what that suggests is that resilience is not an innate trait, but a set of adaptive behaviors that can be nurtured. It emphasizes ordinary magic, the capacity of individuals to recover through supportive relationships, problem-solving skills, and emotional regulation. And I think that this is so important. The protective factors here in this adaptive system, this is all about having the right environment around us that encourages us to keep going when things don't go to plan. And one of the reasons I'm part of this mastermind group at the moment is because I surround myself at least once a month, if not more frequently, with a group of fellow business owners who are on the same path as me. And they're all seeking success. And Jim Rohn, who was a famous personal development guru, always said, our success is measured by the 5 people we hang out with the most. And what I realized earlier on this year was that I was only really hanging around with my horses and my partner. I wasn't really hanging around with people that were going to up-level me and take me to the next level. So hence the reason for my investment in the mastermind. So I think that this is really important, that, as we said, things will get tough in business. Things will not go to plan. And having this supportive environment around us is what helps us become more resilient and cope more effectively with the setbacks that come across. And interestingly, this thought of mine is actually backed up by a study by the American Psychological Association, who found that 75% of highly resilient individuals attributed their ability to recover from adversity to strong social support networks. So the key takeaway about resilience is, don't let the setbacks define you. Instead, let them redefine you. Just as Frank Bruno kept stepping back in the ring despite losses, business leaders must embrace challenges, pivot when necessary, and keep moving forward towards their goals. So that was lesson 1. Lesson 2 that I took away from Frank Bruno was that discipline and hard work are the foundations of success. Because boxing isn't just about physical strength, it demands immense discipline and dedication. And Frank Bruno was known for his rigorous training regime and unwavering commitment to his craft. He understood that success in the ring wasn't achieved overnight, and it was built through years of sacrifice, discipline, and relentless effort. And in leadership and teamwork, the same principles apply. Success doesn't happen by chance, and it doesn't happen overnight, despite some of the adverts and things you might see on Facebook. Becoming a success takes time, and it results from this consistent effort, day in, day out, strategic planning, and disciplined execution. You need to be taking action each and every day to help your business grow and scale and get to the next level. So, whether developing a high performing team or executing a business strategy, business discipline forms the foundation that turns aspirations into reality. I really know this to be true in my own business in the last 10 years or so since I've been an entrepreneur. It really does take that consistency day in, day out to keep going. And sometimes it's tough. We got those days where maybe we want to give up, and that's when we have to be resilient and we need our resilience to kick in. But success just isn't gifted to us overnight. A lot of you will know that I'm a big proponent of universal laws. You can't just, and I remember one of my mentors said this, you can't just sit there and meditate and own that the money is all going to come to you. You've actually got to take the action for it to happen. And this is the hard work, taking the action day in, day out. So taking action, what does that look like? That means picking up the phone, reaching out to clients and contacts and having sales conversations. In fact, my current coach really talks a lot about this because he says success is inevitable if you take enough action. If you're only having 2 or 3 sales calls a week, success is not inevitable. 20 or 30 sales calls a week, then success will start to become inevitable. So that's the hard work and the graft that we need to do. But it doesn't have to be exhausting. We need to just be smart about the way that we do that. So what's a lesson from nature about discipline and hard work? That's the honeybee, because they exemplify this discipline and hard work. And each member of the hive has a specific role, and they work tirelessly in coordination to sustain their colony. A worker bee can visit thousands of flowers a day, pollinating plants while collecting nectar for honey. And their disciplined and structured teamwork ensures survival and prosperity for the entire hive. And what I love about the honeybee is that every bee in the hive has to do their job. And that's the same in teamwork. We need every single person in the team to be pulling their weight for the team to be successful. Something that I think really espouses the law of discipline and hard work is the 10,000 hour rule, which I came across in a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. And it's based on some research by Anders Ericsson, which suggests that mastery in any field requires at least 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. When we think about somebody like Michael Jordan, he spent so much time just practicing and practicing taking shots. And he actually talks about he missed more than he made. But it was only through that relentless pursuit of being disciplined and going out every single day practice that he got to be such an incredible basketball player. And a study by the Journal of Applied Psychology finds that individuals who engage in deliberate practice for extended periods improve their performance by 26% compared to those who practice sporadically. So this is why people who aren't necessarily incredibly naturally talented can become amazing athletes because they keep practicing. And exactly the same in business. Like the bees, business leaders and teams must embrace discipline in their daily actions, because a thriving business isn't built overnight, but through this dedicated effort, collaboration, and strategic focus. So the key takeaway about discipline and hard work is that success is built on daily habits and small, consistent efforts. Whether you're leading a team or running a business, discipline and hard work will always be your best allies in achieving long-term success. And the third lesson that I took away from Frank Bruno was about mental toughness and having strength in adversity. Because actually, Frank Bruno's battles weren't just in the boxing ring. He's openly shared, and he was very candid in the talk he gave us about his struggles with mental health. And he showed incredible courage in discussing a topic that's often stigmatized especially in sports. And his openness and determination to overcome personal challenges are as inspiring as his victories in the ring. And I think this mental toughness is such an important concept for us as business leaders. And it's all to do with our mindset, how we approach things. And I must admit, when I first set up my business, when I was leaving the corporate world, I remember thinking, how hard can this be? I'm pretty smart. I work hard. How difficult can it be to run my own business? And I got a huge wake up call when I started my business, because what I rapidly realized that success in business is, in my opinion, at least 80% mindset, 20% action. You've actually got to believe that you can be successful. You've got to have this mental toughness to keep going. And leaders and business owners face intense pressure, uncertainty, and moments of self-doubt. And the ability to remain mentally strong, even in adversity, is what separates great leaders from the rest. And I think, let's be clear, having this mental toughness doesn't mean ignoring emotions or pretending problems don't exist, because they do. But it means developing this inner strength to navigate difficulties with clarity, confidence, and resilience. Having this mental toughness, having this really positive mindset is so important. And so the lesson from nature here comes from the Arctic fox, because surviving in the Arctic is no small feat. Yet the Arctic fox has adapted to some of the harshest conditions on Earth. During winter, temperatures drop to -50 degrees C, food becomes scarce. However, instead of panicking and giving up, the Arctic fox adapts. It changes its hunting strategy, it conserves energy, and it grows a thick coat to endure the cold. Effectively, it reinvents in order to survive. And a model I'd just like to share with you around mental toughness is one by Peter Clough, the mental toughness model, which identifies 4 core attributes that leaders require in order to have mental toughness. And the first of these is control. Feeling in control of your emotions and the situation. The second is commitment, the ability to set goals and follow through even under pressure. The third is challenge, seeing challenges as opportunities rather than threats. And the fourth is confidence, belief in your abilities to influence outcomes and perform well under stress. And if you want to think about it, a Formula One driver in a high stakes race, somebody like Lewis Hamilton, for example, they have to control their emotions. They have to stay focused on the strategy. That's the commitment. They have to adjust quickly to the weather or the track conditions. That's the challenge. And they have to maintain self-belief in a high-pressure environment. That's the confidence. And research by the Journal of Sports Science shows that mentally tough athletes outperform their peers by 15% in high-pressure situations. Mental toughness mirrors the kind of mental strength that leaders must develop when navigating uncertainty. We all know that challenges are going to arrive, but having the inner fortitude to adapt and persevere is what sets great leaders apart. So I think the takeaway I took from Frank Bruno here was that mental health and emotional resilience are just as important as physical strength. And prioritizing self-care and seeking support when needed, and cultivating a mindset that enables you to navigate challenges and with courage and perseverance is just so important. And we've spoken on some of our previous podcasts about self-care, because if we don't look after ourselves, we don't have the energy and the resources to give to our team as a great leader. So in summing up, meeting Frank Bruno was really an unforgettable experience, and it really reinforced that importance of resilience, discipline, and mental toughness. Whether in sports, business, or life, these qualities are essential for overcoming obstacles and achieving greatness. And nature teaches us these lessons every day. And there's so much research to back this up. This isn't just me taking some hype out of the stories he shared with us, there's some real, as I've shared with you, scientific research about how when we become resilient, we focus on discipline and hard work, and we develop that mental toughness, that our performance can just improve. So a question for you, dear listeners, this week is, next time you face a tough challenge, ask yourself, what would a champion do? And then step forward with the mindset of a true fighter. I really hope you've enjoyed this edition of Impactful Teamwork. Please feel free to share any of your thoughts with us on social media. I always love to hear from you. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please do let me know. Otherwise, I really look forward to speaking to you again next week. Have an amazing time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Impactful Teamwork podcast. Please stay tuned for future episodes and do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating on your favorite platform. Recommendations are essential for attracting new listeners. Please follow us on social media at Julia Felton and at Business Horsepower. And if there are any topics you'd like us to cover on future episodes, please do let me know. Remember, you and your team are always making an impact. What impact will you make today?